My career has been in the produce industry all the time. And we always say, when you drink a good tequila, you wake up next morning feeling fresh as lettuce. Think about that. A lettuce in Central California, it is misty, fresh, moist. That's probably not a good word, but
oh, now we've brought moist.
Yeah, it is.
Are you wasting your time and money on inefficiencies in the business? Are sales down and lead conversion rates are low? Are you having problems building or maintaining inventory levels? What does it really take to win in the automotive industry?
Get the cars that make sense for your store rather than just wishing at an auction. So it gives you that better control.
With over 25 years of experience, Darrell the Wolf Steed isn't just another industry voice. He's the guy who's out there solving real problems for dealers just like you.
They'll even say in the Pacific Northwest where you're at that it's a tougher market. It's, tougher to find cars. The market's a little bit softer. And in the midst of all this, your turn doubled and your profit's up 75%.
Yes.
The truth hurts only when it should. Are you ready to hear the truths? Darrell is here to unpack the hard truths and the proven strategies that will take your dealership from struggling to soaring. And he is taking it all in the streets, with real talk, open dialogue, unfiltered conversations. This is the podcast series, Street Smarts, powered by SmartWolf Consulting.
What's going on, guys? It is Thursday night, and you know what? We are going to do something that, we just decided we're going to do Throwdown Thursday. And I got a special guest coming on here shortly. He doesn't know that we're going live, so this is going to be great for everybody. He's under the impression that we're just doing a standard podcast that will air later and that I'll be able to edit it and make sure everything's good to go. What he doesn't know is that we are already live. And once he gets on, we're just going to chop it up, tell some stories, see what happens. And we're going to just see where we go with this. And I'm pretty excited about it because we talk about that we're in the streets. We talk about that we're unfiltered. And that's how we want to go about it. And we're definitely going to do it unfiltered tonight. So it is Thursday Throwdown. We're going to get ourselves some tequila because what's better on a Thursday than a little bit of that Mexican firewater, a.k.a. tequila. For some of you guys, that might be like unicorn juice. So what do we want to talk about? I have this live right now on 3 different platforms. We're on LinkedIn, we are on Facebook, and we are on YouTube. Drop me some comments. Send me what we want to talk about. What do you guys want to hear about? What you want to know? Something like, different, crazy, or whatever it may be. Let's kill some time until my good buddy Ozzie gets here, and then we will get into whatever suits our fancy and see what happens. So I'm going to keep surfing these portals to see if you guys put any comments or if you guys want to discuss things. But I want to give a shout out while we're wasting time to Christina Lopez over at ACV. We went out to lunch today. She took us out to lunch. She got me a fantastic bottle of tequila. Oh, 1 second, you guys. I'm getting my tequila. You want to jump in here? Let everyone see your beautiful face? No? Oh, there she is. Wait, she's coming in.
Can't with the background.
Oh, she tried to make an appearance, but she ran out of here. That's my beautiful wife. And yes, if she actually got in here, you'd all see that I outkicked my coverage. But we went out to lunch today. It was fantastic, celebrating good friends, good food, having some drinks. And, into 2025, because at the end of the day, we are, closely getting into 2025 and, and that's where the business is. And we have to plan for where we're going, not where we've been. And with the business that I'm doing and how I'm doing it that's where I focus is how do we get there? What are we doing? And, just making sure we put people in the best position possible. So it is definitely one of those things where, It's always great to kind of collaborate with different people. We were there with a different business as well, and just kind of figuring out, okay, what does it look like? Where are we going? How are we going to do it? What are other people doing? And so pretty excited about what the year holds, and having those relationships and partnerships. Also had a great call with another partner. For those of you guys don't know, Street Smarts, partnered with, and have invested in Vehicle Acquisition Network. It is the single best platform out there for acquisition with private party. And so I was talking to Tom, and just kind of talking about like what's going to happen next year. And, really excited about what the industry holds and what Street Smarts and SmartWolf holds, and what the companies that I've partnered with or that I've aligned with holds, because I think next year is going to be probably one of the best years for the automotive industry. Oh, we just got a text, guys. We are 3 minutes away from this magical surprise to Ozzie Gonzalez, since we're live, and he does not know it. Now, hopefully he isn't checking his phone and looking on Facebook and going like, this punk went live, and doesn't end up getting on this, because then this would be a complete disaster. But as we wait for him, okay, so we're talking about the business and everything else, and we've got, my wife is trying to be so delicate and polite because she's baking cookies. You guys, it looks like a small bakery in my kitchen right now. We've got 6 cans of vanilla, 14 different versions of chips of stuff that goes in cookies, oatmeal, Heath Bar Crunch, M&Ms. I mean, this is a real production. I wish I could actually show you guys what's going on, but I'd have to move all this equipment. But for all the dieting and weight that I've lost, there is a chance tonight I might gain it all back. It smells like chocolate chip, oatmeal, butterscotch, molasses, Heath Bar. I mean, if the Oompa Loompas were here, it would be like heaven right now, because they'd be in like candy heaven. But she's like, it's going to be a little loud. I'm like, guys, we're in the streets. This is live. It's unfiltered. We don't worry about noise. We just make it happen. Let's see if we can't get somebody else on here. Let's see if we can't text everyone and we can make this like a Thursday night throwdown party. 1 second. Let's see if we can get another special guest in here. Let's see. Okay, let's see. We're going to send out some messages. If you guys want to jump on here, hey, put a comment out there, send me a text. We can make this more than just one person. It's Thursday Night Throwdown. Let's talk about what the year looks like, how your year was. What does next year look like? Business, life. It's just one of those times. Let's just talk about what's going on in celebration. Oh, wait a minute. I heard a noise. Like he's in. Oh, this is fantastic. You guys, okay. No one knows about this. He's about to go on live, and we're going to think that it's an intro. Okay, so here we go. Well, it's Ozzie Gonzalez. So on this podcast, Ozzie, man, I'm so thankful for you being here. And we always like to introduce our people when they come on here. I mean, that's one hell of a cowboy hat. Like, wow. So now that you feel absolutely clean slate, ready to go, drink in hand, we should probably, gosh, do we tell you yet? Do we not tell you? I mean, okay, we're going to tell you. So, Ozzie,
don't tell me.
This is the best podcast ever, because we're going to sit there and it's Thursday Night Throwdown, and we're having this great podcast. We all have drinks. We're going to talk about some stories and business. And for the last 8 minutes, everyone's been waiting desperately for you to come on, because we are live in the Everse right now. This is not a recorded podcast. We are dead live on all the social mediums. So we are going to talk about all the great things, because this is an unfiltered Ozzie and Darrell conversation, just like it should be, like on a Thursday night.
We're going to get in trouble.
Well, we're 100% going to get in trouble, but that's what unfiltered conversations is. I mean, shit, I'm about to go get my cowboy hat just to fit into this thing.
Well, when I signed in, it asked if there was like a title or something that I wanted to put, and I wanted to put Wild Wild West.
Wild West. So as we start every podcast, Ozzie, business is great, right? But we always want to ask every guest that comes, where are you winning in life? Right? Like, where am I winning in life?
Yeah, where are you winning in life? having a great family at the house and somebody that I could always come to and really motivate me and drive me for what we do on a daily basis. That's where I'm winning in life. Got 2 great daughters, great stepdaughter and stepson, and amazing wife. So that's where I'm winning in life.
Well, guys, now, man, I don't even know if we get to talk about anything better than that answer. I mean, good God, like, you're not supposed to like drop the mic on the first comment, but I agree with you. You are a blessed individual, daughters, wife, kids. And as we all know, and if you don't know, guys, this is something that like, we'll give you something that has nothing to do with anything, but a life's lesson is when you have a great partner, being successful and winning is that much easier. When you don't, it's not saying you can't win. You're just making it that much harder when you don't have someone there that's got your back and do that. I'm blessed. People that have met my wife know that, one, I've outkicked my coverage and they still question her sanity or her decision-making ability because they're like, why would she want to be with a guy like me? Because she could have done better. But I'm going to just, I'm hitching my horse to this wagon as long as I can because she keeps me centered and helps me get where I need to go because she helps me.
Think about it. We got both great backgrounds, right? Military, sports. And what makes a sports team thrive, right? How many times have we seen the Yankees or the Dodgers or Giants have a great roster and a piece of paper and doesn't go anywhere?
Yeah.
But when you put partnerships together and they know what they need to do and put a team together, you win championships. So yeah, I agree with you 100%, brother.
Yeah. And I mean, that's why I feel very thankful. And it's one of those things where you kind of look at it and you go, like, when you have that, it's like, it makes everything not just easier, but it's like you immediately have that person that, like, that partner, significant other, whatever word people want to use, is like, they're going to tell you based on, they know you better than most people, or they should know you better than all people, but they'll immediately tell you if it makes sense for you because they know how you do things or how you react or what you see, which gives you that real ability to kind of hear your own voice coming from somebody you trust. Right now, you guys don't mind the noise in the background if it doesn't cancel it. Before you jumped on, Ozzie, I have a full baking prism going on over here. It is like cookie mania. Sarah is knee deep into every cookie you could imagine.
Now you're making me hungry.
Buddy, listen, I'm going to be 100% honest. I told everybody before you came on, I'm like, all this weight I've lost might come back in the next night with all these cookies being baked. So, apparently I've now been told these cookies are not for me. This is
there you go. That's all right. You got New Year's resolution coming around, so get on the way you can so you can lose it again when you start.
You know what? Let's start with that because since we're unfiltered, New Year's resolutions, guys. I mean, please comment on any of these places we're live. How many of you guys think New Year's resolutions are absolute crocks of shit? Like, New Year's resolutions, why do we wait till January to make a commitment to do anything? What's wrong with today? Like, what's wrong with right now?
There is nothing wrong with it right now.
I always love that. Like, and then you make this New Year's resolution and it's so tough because you've just done all the partying and all this and that and everything else. By January 31st, I mean, how many of you guys actually keep to your New Year's resolution? But how many of you guys haven't already said, like, I'm out? Like, I've already skipped the day. So why, like, what does it matter? I made a commitment months ago and I said, I don't care. New Year's this, like, I'm just going to do this. And now I do it every day. Part of business, part of life. But I always laughed about that. Like, why do I have to wait till January 1st to make a change or to, like, do something different or improve myself? Right.
So Darrell, what's the commitment you made? Because once you hang on something, knowing you, like, you'll drive it. And as we go back to talking about rowing and
I've grown.
The rowing machine and rowing. There comes my Mexican accent coming out. But
so the commitment was, so for those of you guys don't know, Ozzie knows this, and that's where he's going to tell this rowing story, which is going to be fantastic. But at one point, guys, I looked like I ate me. So I was 298 pounds. I wish I had a static picture I could drop up into this feed right now and see if I can find one on my computer. But I was big. I mean, I was. I'd kind of got off the rails, and so I made a commitment to lose weight. So
I would say you were very well proportioned.
Well proportioned. I was as big as I was round. That's a great way to say it. So I decided I wanted to lose weight. Now, everyone's done that before and it's fine. And I do everything 100%. I don't do anything halfway. So I went to eating 1,200 calories a day, no alcohol, only water. And then Ozzie had sent me a picture about rowing. He was rowing like 10 minutes or 15 minutes, which, by the way, guys, isn't easy.
It was 15 minutes. That's my max.
And it's not easy, like, especially if you're rowing fast. Like if you're doing, so they do it based on a pace. And so 500 meters at 2 minutes is a pretty steady pace when you're doing it for that long. And so I went and got a rowing machine. This was pre-COVID. I did it for 5 minutes. I felt like I was going to have a heart attack. I was like, I don't know how Ozzie does it for this long. But then I was like, if Ozzie can do this, I can do this. So I went all in on this to the point where 15 minutes came, it went. And then, yeah, Ozzie's, probably going to emphasize the fact that I might have got a little bit overboard on this to where it was 45 to 60 minutes every day. And I lost a lot of weight. I got down to 203 to the point, this is how people would greet me. Hey, Darrell, what's going on? Wow, you look really good. Are you okay? And it was like they thought I was sick because everything was sucked in. I'd lost all this weight. You could see my bone structure. And I will tell everybody who makes these ridiculous diets or these ridiculous, like, I want to lose weight, and you think you can do it through just extreme dieting or massive exercise. If you can do it and be happy, by all means do it. But I will tell you, in my experience, it was equally as miserable as being 300 pounds. I was tired all the time because I'm eating 1,200 calories a day, burning 4,500. If Ozzie said, hey, let's go get a drink, I'm like, I can't. Like, sorry, I've already burned all my calories up. And like, it's like I wanted to take a nap every day because I couldn't keep my eyes open. Now, what I ended up doing is I stopped doing it that excessively, or I should say that unhealthy way. And now I have drinks when I want. I do work out more. I work out 6 days a week instead of 4. But I don't do it like in that excess. So I do weights, I do cardio. So I mix it up. I walk, I run, I do rowing, I do assault bike, I do weights, and I eat what I want. But really what it came down to is just balancing things out. And now I'm the same body fat percentage that I was at 203. So I was 17% body fat at 203. I'm 17% now, and I'm 218. So I actually have more muscle in my body, and I can do whatever I want because I just did it in a better way.
See, I think that's still a problem for you, Darrell. You're still keeping track of way too many KPIs.
Hey, listen, all for me, there's only 2 KPIs I care about. I mean, the scale I have measures like 90 things, but the only 2 I care about is visceral fat, which is the fat around your organs, because that's what keeps you alive longer.
I need to go ask AI to see what that means and how it affects my life.
Visceral fat, it's all the fat that gets around your organs. You don't want any of that. And then body fat, if I get down to 15%, I don't care if I was 225 or 240. If I'm 15% body fat or less, that's all I care. Yeah. If we look at the scale, unfortunately, they still build scales and these measurements based on the 1950s. So unless I weighed 165, I would be obese no matter how much I weighed. So, and at 165, people would think that I was dying. So, but I think it's one of those things where when you make goals, it's like, okay, make a goal, make a radical goal, but then also understand, like you said, what are you going to sacrifice? What are you going to do? Because don't sacrifice things that are important to you just because you want to do something that you think might be important, right? Make the right goals. Make the goals that you can do, like what I'm doing now.
So real quick, Darrell, that's a great point, right? And I'll ask you this, like, why do you do what you do? Like, why do you work out? And why do you put so much focus on it, right? Because everybody has a different goal. And people ask me, like, why do you work out? Like, because I love to eat and I love to drink. So it's not how I'm going to look, because I know that if I eat a 14-ounce ribeye dry-aged steak at my house, I'm going to have to work out a little bit more so I can tolerate that. Or if I want to have an extra glass of wine, I do the same thing. So I'll ask you, is like, why do you do what you do physically to get where your goal? Yeah.
So when I first started doing it, it was, I just wanted to see, could I get to, and I don't even want to say good weight, a healthy like body shape, right? without being excessive, because the last time I did it, I was excessive, right? Like I was like, oh man, like I'm getting there. And the real goal was, which we won't even say it was a good goal. It was stupid. It was like, could I get down to the same weight I was as a senior in high school, which was 198 when I went in the military. So I got to 203. I probably could have got to 198, but it was a goal for 1 year. So if I would have done it 3 more weeks without lifting weights and just done cardio, I probably would have got there. But it was really just, could I get there in 1 year? So I lost 95 pounds in 1 year, and I sustained most of it off for the whole next year. But then I decided I wanted to do other things. Now why I do it, I'll be 100% honest. One, I wanted to be able to wear different types of clothes that like would actually, like, I didn't want baggy shirts. I wanted form-fitting shirts. But when you looked like Santa Claus, then I didn't want them to like look like I had a belly all the time. 2 was I also started thinking to myself, I want to be able to be as active as I can be, right? I don't expect to be doing any marathons. People that want to run 26.2 miles, God bless you, but you can keep that sticker to yourself. Was for my kids. You know, I have a 26-year-old, but now I have a 13-year-old and I have a 8-year-old. And so when they want to run around, play, do stuff like that, and it's like, I don't ever want to be like, hey, sorry guys, like I can't do that or I can't do this. I want to be like, yeah, let's go. You want to go do this? You want to go do that? So now at this very moment, I mean, let's get real. I'm going to take the short victories. My kids can't keep up with me, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hold on to that for as long as I possibly can. But when they want to go to the park, if they want to go do something, we want to go hike, we want to go kayak, we want to do any of that, it's like, I don't run out of energy. I'm not tired. And if I want to put on a slim fit shirt, okay, I can do that now.
No. Come on.
I can do it. I can do it now. Like, I didn't say that it looks slim, but I can put it on. Okay. Like, you know, so
you did also text me that you were 6 tequilas in. It was like, that's bullshit. So,
well, I'm sorry. I should have said I am 4 double pours of Fortaleza in from lunch, because anytime someone's going to take me to lunch and pay for it, I'm going to have some of that good tequila. But for those of you guys don't know, Fortaleza tequila, if you can find it for anything under $125 a bottle, please buy it. Let me know. Send it to me and I'll pay you back, because it is impossible to find. It's also great tequila. That's also something I got to learn from Ozzie. So let's talk about things I actually got from him. Other than business stuff, let's talk about some other cool stuff. Ozzie showed me what the difference was between good tequila and tequila years ago. And then I went down a rabbit hole with my wife's brother and got even more insight. But it all started with Ozzie. He would be like, I'd say, oh, I'm going to get this. And he's like, why would you drink that? That's not good. And I was like, no, it's fine. And he would be like, let me introduce you to something that actually tastes good. And then I tasted tequilas that when you drink them, they don't feel like you're drinking gasoline. They don't make you wake up and feel like someone put a vice on your head. And I was like, wow, these are fantastic. And so for all of you guys, as you get a little bit older, or if you're older than me, that's very important. If you want to have a drink or two, is what does it feel like the next day? Right. And so Fortaleza, Ocho, Single Estate, El Tesoro, all those. And then
it was Ocho that I got to introduce you to first. Yeah.
Yes, it was Ocho first, because Fortaleza was harder to find, but Ocho is still, there's probably 4 bottles.
There's a first state tequila that came out of Jalisco. Yeah. So
they do everything there.
Yeah. So my whole family comes from the Jalisco area where the good tequila is made from. And I was talking to Darrell and was like, you got to try that Ocho. And it just really good tequila, high proof. But so my career has been in the produce industry all the time. I mean, we always say, when you drink a good tequila, you wake up next morning feeling fresh as lettuce. Think about that. A lettuce in Central California, it is misty, fresh, moist. That's probably not a good word, but
oh, now we've brought moist.
Yeah, it is. You wake up next morning feeling good, and that's a good tequila. When you know you're not headache, you're not hungover, and there's a lot of really, really good tequilas out there that you could do. But Ocho is a good one. If you haven't tried it, highly recommend it.
Yep.
Now, Fortaleza.
No, Fortaleza is still hands down. It's not close. It's Ocho. I call it like it's like Jordan and LeBron, right? It's like 1 and 1A. Fortaleza I put in the 1 spot. Ocho I put in the 1A spot because Ocho probably inches it out now because I can still find Ocho readily available. Fortaleza, it's like hunting unicorns. Like when you find one, you like capture it and you don't let it go. But they are phenomenal. And you're right. It's funny that you say the crispy lettuce because, like, yeah, when I wake up, I don't even. It's like I never had drinks. So it's really incredible that you're like, oh, you had that? And I'm like, yeah, I don't even feel like I had drinks. So it's great. Now, Ozzie, you have done some interesting things. Like, so as you guys don't know, I'm going to talk about his house because if you guys didn't know, Ozzie never has to go on vacation. Ozzie has.
So good.
I don't know why Ozzie has a vacation home. If we could get pictures of Ozzie's house on here, his backyard would make all of you guys going like this. When are we going? Okay, to El Canton. Okay, when are we going to this guy's house? So Ozzie, knowing all the stuff that you've done and whatnot, like tell us like some accomplishments or things that you've done that like because you have built, you have an incredible family. You've built absolutely stunning house like that. You can just go sit in the backyard and just be like, I'm good. Like I've got there. So tell us kind of about like when you started up in Washington, you came down and everything else. Like what was the goal? Like what was the dream of like when you started and then like, you know, where are you at now? Like what comes next?
So I'm going to try to do the smart brevity delivery of this, right? So I first generation Mexican I was the only one born here out of 9 kids in the whole entire family. And we've been farmers the whole entire time. So went to Washington up there because followed the person that I thought was going to lead me in the right direction. Not thought, that did lead me in the right direction. My wife. I went up to Washington. See, that's where we're going to get in trouble, right? Like,
that's right.
Listen to this, like, you thought that I was the right person. So,
we've all thought someone was the right person until we found the right person.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. So, smart brevity, background for produce. Moved up to Washington with produce. Got the opportunity to work in the automotive industry. Found out that being from Mexico and California, it was way too freaking cold to live up in Washington. So 8 years into it, 0 degree Fahrenheit, I was like, told my wife, I'm going back down to California with you, without you, because it's way too cold up here. So moved back down to California. 6 months later, the whole family followed me. And what I could tell you is when I got into Fresno, there's an opportunity for me to expand my career and continue to grow and develop. Thanks for the company that I'm working with right now. From there, the wife followed me down here and was like, well, if I would have known, I would have followed you earlier. I was like, shit, should have done this earlier. But that opportunity was not there. So we moved down here, moved into Fresno, played. I don't know if you guys see the background over here, Fresno State baseball, played here. Baseball was my dream as grown as a little kid, grew up with Fernando Mania, thought that I was going to be a pro baseball player. Moved back down here and realized that obviously there's limitations in the percentages of people make it into the major leagues. It's probably not a good path. So I took the opportunity to move back down here to California. And when I got here, I was like, okay, well, I'm in Fresno, California, which it gets a bad rap. And usually when it gets a bad rap, I always ask people, when's the last time you've been to California or Fresno? And they're like, I've never been there. It's like, exactly, there you go. So don't talk shit about California or Fresno, California.
I've been to Fresno, and every rumor is true, you guys. It's hot as shit. People die, okay, in that hot sandbox down there.
But if you keep moving south, it's even worse.
It's way worse. Bakersfield makes Fresno feel like an oasis.
So moved to California. We had the opportunity to purchase a decent home in Fresno, and my goal was to be able to continue to move on in a career path with this company in my life and everything is like having really good vacations is going to be limited, right? So I told my wife and said, Brooks, like, we have to build something where we want to come home and we want to relax, right? So what Darrell was speaking to is my backyard is like an oasis. And I actually do have a location on social media called El Cantón. El Cantón, it means, if you translate it into Spanish, or English, it's called a pad. And as soon as I walk out my back door and you go into the backyard, it's like an oasis. So you feel that you're not in Fresno and all the stress and everything that you have in life is gone. Plus I love to cook, I love to barbecue, grill, whatever it is, pizza oven, everything in the backyard. We have all that outside. So it's really my opportunity to leave stress or whatever I'm dealing with and go out there and ground myself back. It's like, hey, this is what I really love. This is what I really do. But what I tell you, it's like once I'm out there and I come back in the house, like, shit, I'm not in a tropical place. I'm not in Mexico. I'm only in the backyard in Mexico or in Fresno. But yeah, it is fun. I mean, I had team building and events here, as you know. It's fun. It's rewarding, and it's just a really good place. It really is. Even our dogs, you know, Tank and Pixie, right?
They're great. They're great. And guys, just to give you a little bit more insight, he did something which, you know, I always like talking about like these unique things that people do or they've attempted or that they do all the time. Some of you guys got to see the podcast with Dash Gordon and Timothy Glover. I mean, that guy's a real life hero with what he's doing. There's something special coming in a couple of weeks from him too. It's pretty awesome. But Ozzie did a donation, a fundraiser. I don't know exactly how you guys put it up, but
the children's hospital. And you know, that's a touchy subject for me. I don't like to promote it, talk about it. But yeah, we use our backyard for.
No, and I don't want to promote it. I want to say, like, the fact that you gave your time to do that, because that even something like that where you're giving time, it's where you relax, right? It's where you can decompress, but then you're serving others. It just shows like what you do as a person, right? It's not about what you do with your backyard and what you do giving back. It's like you generally care about people, and like that's a way for you to both get your kind of zen and like what you like to do and be able to give back, which is just kind of a cool thing because you don't see a lot of people taking that much time and care into other people, right? It's one of those unique things. And you know, as you've built up, you've been an inspiration. When I met you and saw you, because it was like that drive, that inspiration, like when you get around the right people that have that, it's like, how is he doing in a different way? And seeing like how you handle things and do things, because for those of you guys don't know us, okay, or don't know Ozzie and know me, or don't know me and know Ozzie, okay, I'm not nearly as, we'll say, calm and polished as Ozzie is about certain life situations. So it was a real inspiration for me, because he'd be like, okay, hey, I get it, you handle it this way, but like here's a different way. So, and he could relate to me, and then like we had really great conversations about that. So it was always great to see you always caring about other people, and that's a really unique quality that I think people should know if they don't know, and just having you as a guest that we want to tell people about.
Yeah, and vice versa, right? Like I remember when we first met each other, it was in Elk Grove, right? And I think I was filling in for somebody, and like you were consulting or whatever at dealerships. Like, hey, we need to make a difference here at this dealership. It's like I need to meet with my Auto Trader rep. I was like, well, I'm not your Auto Trader rep, but I can meet with you. And what I could say is Darrell is the type of person that sometimes you question what he tells you. and you go like, that can't be real. But then you go look it up. Well, now you AI it or whatever, and it's like, that is real. That is happening. And I remember the first time you were at the house, it was so freaking hot. You were wearing a white beater shirt. And I don't even know if I told you this. But that's the first time you met Brooke. Next morning, and she wakes up like, who the hell is that guy? He doesn't stop talking, and he shares all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, but I kind of looked it all up. Everything was real, what he said. I don't know if you remember that.
I remember, buddy. Anytime that we had good conversations, I remember all the time.
And then fast forward, you ended up being in my wedding.
Ended up being there, and I'm gonna tell you right now, guys. I'm gonna tell you guys right now. Woo-wee, boy, that was probably the funnest part. This man had a 5-piece troubadour band with a tuba. Like, man, I'm gonna be 100% honest, man. That was one of the funnest things I'd ever been to. I mean, I was thrown back. I was thrown back when I saw a tuba show up, and I'm like, "What is happening here?" But it was a good time, man. And you guys were fantastic. And now just seeing things going, I just, it's one of those things. When you surround yourself with the right people, I think that's the what people need to understand in life, right? Like, if we could give anyone anything today, right, other than just kind of just shooting the shit and like kind of getting to, people to getting to know us, is when you surround yourself with the right people, business, life, friendships, whatever it may be. And when I say the right people, the people who aren't self-serving, but that are supportive towards like where you want to go and don't expect anything in return, right? So it doesn't make it quid pro quo. It makes it like you support them because you want to, not because you feel you're getting anything from it. It then creates a circle of like, that winning attitude that you can get through anything, that like you don't feel like you're going to fall off the cliff when bad things happen. And I've been very fortunate. I read a book. I would have to look up the thing, but I know the preface of it was the guy's 90 something years old and he's talking about friendships and everything else. And they said, well, who's going to be at your funeral? And he gave them 6 names. One was his daughter, and then there was like 5 other people. And they said, that's not a lot of people. And he says, it's all the people that are important in my life. And so he ended up writing a book about this, or they ended up taking notes about it. He didn't need more than 5 friends, like 5, like lifetime, like ride or die. And he says, when you pass away, if you can get over one handful of like people that supported you, that are there and everything else, you have won at life, even if you don't think you've won at life. And so when I read that, I thought that was always really interesting, because it was like, everyone's like, oh, I have 100 friends. I have this, I have that. It's like, okay, well, how many friends do you have if you get arrested and have to call them from jail? Or how many friends do you have if you get, left at the altar, or you get divorced, or someone passes away in your family? Like some of these really hard life issues. And then, are they there for you? Are they there to support you? Time, money, combination of both, whatever it may be. And when you look at it, you start asking that question. That number starts getting real small real quick, right? And so people always ask me like, hey, can I call you? I'm like, but you can call me up till 11 o'clock every night and I'll answer my call. After 11, it better be for bail money, okay? Or for something serious, like you're in the ER, because if you're calling me just to bullshit at 2 a.m., okay, we ain't going to be friends after that, because you just ruined my sleep. But
and that's a great point, Darrell, because if you think of the relationship you and I had, I know that when I dial you, you answer the phone 90% of the time. If the 10% of the time, if you don't answer, is because you can't see that I'm calling, right? And not only in a personal request, but even a business request. When we work together and we continue to work together, and there's an opportunity to as you know, my motto is, we're in the business. So when somebody asks me, is like, what do you do? I was like, I'm in the business of changing lives, right? So when that opportunity arises and I can't change that person's life, I look for that person. And how many times have I called you? Is like, hey, listen, like, we need your help here. And how many times have you helped those individual people that I could potentially can't help, and you can?
Sure.
And it's you have always done it. And speaking of that, let's talk about another story one day with somebody that we know from the dealer CMO days. I know who I'm talking about. So,
I do.
So one day, 3:00 in the morning, I get a text like, "Hey, could somebody Venmo me? Could you Venmo me $300? Somebody broke into my car. They took my wallet and they slashed my tires, and I can't. They're up in Redding, California, and it's like I can't get back home." And I'm going like, "Okay, this is a scam. Somebody wants to take me for like $300 to $500. Like, there's no way. 3:00 in the morning. Being old, prostate, you got to sometimes go to the bathroom often. So I go back. It's like, nah, screw it. I'll wait till the morning. In the morning, I see another text like, I really do need people's help. So I ended up responding as like, hey, listen, like, tell me what you're going through. So fast forward, I had to Venmo this person that we know like $400 for him to get new tires on his car to be able to get back home, because somebody took his wallet. He left it on the dashboard in Redding, California, and he was seeing some dealers, and they slashed his tires, and he could not get new tires for his car to get back home. So as a matter of fact, he still owes me, because I think some of his relatives work for Pebble Beach golf course, and he still owes me a round in golf course. So I'm going to leverage that for sure.
Yeah, man, we got to go to Pebble. But I think it's when you look at that, right? Like, I mean, at 3, I would have thought it was a scam for sure too, right? But when you look at it, it's like, when you think, well, let's just put it related like this, because I think for anybody watching this in the auto industry or in the, we'll call it the high impact industry, where there's a lot of stress and yeah, is that, well, no, and you think about it, when you're in a job career field or any career field that it requires to be an alpha, where it requires for you to be extremely confident, borderline cocky or conceited, and that's where you perform, because you have to be at that echelon to really, because you're in that type of dynamic. What I learned early in life, which when I've had to do it, I do it. But it's when you have to ask for help. If you're that alpha and you have to ask for help, that's harder than most people realize. Right. Because it's not about the humbling experiences. You don't know exactly how to do it because you've always been the person to kind of get it done on your own. And so when someone has to reach out like that, like, it takes a lot for them to do that. And so when you become one of those people for your circle, your network, whatever it may be, is the honor of that, just being asked, whether you can provide financial help, time, whatever it may be, lending ear, is that just tells you the level of trust and energy that person has in you, because it's not easy for a lot of people to do that. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't people that don't ask for help. Trust me, there's also the other side of the coin, which I call succubuses, okay, that just suck the life out of you because all they ever do is have their hand out and are asking for everything. And those are the people I have absolutely no problem. Ozzie's nicer than me as I say this, that I say lose my number. But if you're in my numbers or you're one of those people and you call and ask me, I have a hard time saying no to anybody. But when someone calls you like that, it's one of those where it's like, they trust you enough to ask. They trust you enough to be vulnerable with you, which that is a big thing with life and with people. And I think that goes a long way with relationships. It goes a long way with how we take care of people, how we treat people, and then just how do you view people as importance to you in life, right? Like, I think some people look at people as like, well, maybe no, like people are the most important thing because you can obviously do something on your own, but it's always one of those things that it's not just easier, it's better. Like, it's just a better situation when you do it with somebody or you do it with other people. It brings a lot more energy, a lot more joy. So, but I think those type of things are great when people lean on each other and you know how to pay it forward and you take care of people or you put people first.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more with you. If you make other people successful under you, if you're a leader or whatever it is, if you focus on that, making them successful, you are going to be much more successful. But if you focus on what you think is going to drive you success, like you said, you're drinking tequila, you're drinking water, dude. Come on.
The tequila's right
and if you focus on what's going to bring you success versus what's going to bring your people success, it'll slow you down for sure. It might not get you where you need to be.
Well, because if you're always concerned with where you're trying to go, and you're never, and you don't think about how this influences others, then you're never aware of what you could be doing with other people. Like if other people could propel you to where you want to go, right? It's always that army of one rather than a support system of many. Like a lot of people ask me like, well, Darrell, you're an army of one with consulting. Yes. In the sense of that I'm one person, but I also talk, consult with, get advice, get all kinds of things from a lot of other people. I don't just magically concoct everything I do on my own.
Yep.
I wish that was the case, that I just knew the answers to all these things. That would just be like so awesome. But no, there's certain things where you're like, okay, I understand process and used car acquisition, but then there's some things that come up. I'm like, I understand what it is. I don't understand I don't have the best solution. So why would I not reach out to my circle and then do what's best for my customer or that person or whatever else and get them the right answer, right? And I think when you start getting people around you in your business or your life like that say, I want to help you, but I'm not the right person. Let me find somebody that could. Like, I'll still get you the information because I know you rather talk with me than a stranger, but let me find you the right thing. Is then people, that's where that level of trust, empathy, and understanding come from, to where they're like, oh. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, look, don't ruin my image, right? Everyone thinks I'm an asshole. So, but the people that get to know me, obviously know that's not the case. That's why I can't ever let them be on here and tell the truth, because I don't want people thinking that I care about them. So
send me a list of the people that think you're an asshole and their contact information, and I'll have a conversation with them.
Then there's going to be more people. You're going to start telling everybody that's the truth. Okay.
That's all right. I'll probably have people that hate me anyways already too. And you just add them to the list.
So, but I think it's one of those things, because it's like, guys, if you're not in my circle, it's not that I'm mean, right? I'm just going to give it to you. I'm just going to hit you in the face with it, right? I'm not going to spare any feelings. Why? Because at the end of the day, I want to give you the most honest truth I can deliver to you, so that you know that I'm not going to mess with you. I just saw a quote. I'd love to get your input on this. I just saw a quote. It was interesting, because it's how I live life, but the way they said it was even more like dynamic. So I'm always a guy that trusts first. I meet you, you have 100% of my trust. Like if you met me tomorrow and said, Darrell, I need $1,000, I'll pay you back in a week. I'm going to give you the money if I have it. I'm not going to sacrifice my security for you, but if I have it, I'm going to give it to you. And so the way these people said it is like, it takes so much energy, okay, to distrust someone, that you should, like, it's easier just to trust them for who they are and let them then prove to you something different. And then you know who they are. But to sit there and say, I don't know you, so I'm not going to trust you, the amount of energy it takes to evaluate whether or not you're good, bad, or indifferent isn't worth it. Like, you would spend so much time trying to figure that out. I'm just curious, how do you look at that?
Well, that's a great point, right? Because we talk about different communication styles with the brain, the 4 compartments, HBI, if you heard about it, talking colors. My wife hates it when I say red, blue, yellow, green, whatever it is, with communication styles. But I will tell you, it depends on that individual's communication style. And I'm all about sharing stories, because that's what we remember, right?
Sure.
So again, my background's produce. We farmed strawberries for 25 years. Unfortunately, what we're seeing now in the automotive industry, bigger companies coming in, eating mom and pop stores and taking those away, and happened in the in the produce industry back in 1995 to 2001. And we were strawberry farmers, and we had to get rid of our farming industry because we had all these co-op that took that business. So we moved into smaller commodity farming products like jalapenos, tomatillos, the Mexican stuff, right? Because we're Mexican. And I was probably about 16, 17 years old. I started working at this produce stand. And my dad called the guy, the Russo. I don't know if you know what Russo means in Spanish. The Russian guy. He wasn't even Russian. But the way he spoke, my dad thought he was Russian. He called him the Russo, El Russo. And I started working at his produce stand. And about 6 months into me working there, he calls me in and is like, Oz, come here. I want to talk to you. And he goes, your dad is a great person, and I'm going to tell you why he's a great person. So this is how I trust and build trust with people. When they come in and deliver goods, which we were delivering like jalapenos, tomatillos, fava beans, and all this stuff for his produce stand, he goes, I overpay. And I go, what do you mean you overpay? It's like, yeah, I gave him $300 more than what I was supposed to when we were doing a transaction, because he used to love paying cash. And he goes, he came back the next day and he told me that I overpaid him, gave me those $300. He goes, that's the person I want to do business with. Because I do this with other people and they never say anything, and they take the $300 and take it away. So he goes, I'd rather lose $200-$300. He's like, it's not $50, not $100. Like, it's $300 of $500. That's my gap. What I know, when somebody brings it back, that person I could trust, they're good people, and I will do business with them forever. But when I give $300 somebody and they take it and they never come back and say, hey, you overpaid me on this, you did a mistake, I will never do business with them again. So
I think that's interesting, right? Because when you think about that,
that's old school stuff, though.
Yeah, you've learned everything you need to know about that person based on, it's now about the transaction. It's not about the relationship.
Yep.
Over, I get it. Back in that day, $300 to $500 was actually a nominal amount. But even let's say it's $1,000 today, it's such a small amount of money for the long term that it's like you see how short-sighted that person is based on that interaction. So,
and it goes back to trust, right? That person wanted to trust my dad that he was not going to screw him. And my dad, being the person that he wasn't. And he brought those $300 back. It's like, hey, you overpaid me. Did business for another 10, 15 years with him.
Which, I mean, because that one move, right, created a long-term relationship, right? I think, and that's the other thing. Do you really think about it, right? We can even relate that to business right now. Do we really think about, and not like, let's not give the quick answer, right? Like, guys, as you guys hear this and as this gets reeled out and we replay it and everything else I don't want to hear the quick answer, quick comment of like, oh yeah, of course I do. Do we really think about when we do something, how that affects the long-term situation? Is like, if I, for instance, well, let's use that story of the money, right? But even something today, like when you go in, if you're a vendor to a dealer and you're like, I know this guy, I can get him to say yes. I've got the grape. I've got the laydown, so to say. I know I can get this package. It's $6,000. Let's just hypothetically say. But you know what's right for the dealer or what that dealer needs. Really, they only need the $4,000 package, let's say. Do you look at the long-term effects of understanding when you interact, speak, or suggest what that can be for today, tomorrow, a year, and 5 years from now? We won't even get into the 10 and 15-year relationships, because if you've made it till 5 and you've handled it the right way, you're probably getting to 10 or 15. But do you look at it as a transaction and you say, well, look, they said yes, so it must be a good deal, which is what we hear in the car business all the time. Well, if they say yes, then they must have thought it was a good deal because they wouldn't have said yes to it. I can't tell you how many times I hear that horse shit. And I'm
but here's the problem. You're talking 5 years.
Sure.
In the automotive industry, who thinks 5 years ahead?
People that are still here 5 years ago.
What the percentage of the automotive industry that?
Oh, I'm sure it's less than 5% when you really look at it. It's a very small number, but then when you have to ask yourself that, right? So let's look at the leaders and let's go one further and let's challenge leadership, right? Because is a leader, GM, GSM, owner, whatever, F&I director, used car director, your leadership roles, why are you not teaching your people to understand people or understand the relationship for long term? Because if you consistently teach the transactional way of doing business, then do people know? Or like, do they not know? Or are we not actually educating people to how to have professional, long-term, successful relationships? So I think part of it has to go into, yes, you can't be ignorant and say, I didn't know. And then I think the other part of it is you have to say, as a leader, are you even doing your part to ensure that you're educating your team the best you can? I'm not saying that you're like some Nostradamus or anything else, but there is kind of an inherent right, or not right, responsibility as a leader that you should be making sure that you put your people in a good spot. Now, notice I used the word leader and I didn't use the word manager, because manager isn't worth the paper it's written on, because managers manage things, as the title is. Leaders lead and build things. So if you're a manager, manage the process, do exactly what you're supposed to. Which one is a leader in your store? What are your leaders doing? Do you have leaders, right? I mean, I think that's an interesting point, because if we thought, where am I going to be at 5 years from now? I can tell you where I'm going to be at 5 years from now with SmartWolf and Street Smarts. We could write it in an envelope right now and open it in 5 years. And I'm going to be within 10% of what I estimate I'm going to be doing.
Because I'm funny you say that. I had the opportunity to hire somebody. I don't know if you know him. His name is Robert Duchel, out in Fresno. And he has a great line. When he started working for me, he would walk in and say, where is your dealer success manager at, or your dealer success leader at?
Sure.
And they're like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? Because there is none. And nothing against the industry. It's we're just such a now industry, right? And I'll give an example, and I share this a lot with my company and internally. So during COVID, the average spend on a third-party listing site in LA was about $3,800. So when inventory demand was out there because of COVID, microchips, whatever you say, where salespeople used to say, is like, you got to come in and buy this car because it's not going to be sold. And it did happen, because they would come 2 days later. No, that car sold 2 days ago. Guess what happened to the average spend of marketing in advertising during those times? In the LA area. It doubled. It went from $3,800 to about like $6,500 to $6,800. What was the profit margin of a dealer during those times?
Oh, it's ridiculous.
And yes, right. So we didn't have to worry about spend and expenses, right? So where are we at right now with margin compression, and what's going on right now with gross profitability?
Oh, with used car, yeah, we're in the tank. It's the worst it's ever been.
But a lot of the spend still out there in marketing is around what it was during post-COVID or right after COVID. So it's one of those things, like, you have to go back and really look at your business and say, okay, how do we manage that? How do we look at that? But more importantly, as we know, when you talk about market share and increase in market share of sales, profitability, most of the time it comes with internal processes at the dealership versus anything else that you do outside of that.
Sure. You know, it's funny you say that, because I just had, there was a podcast that went up. I did one with Benny Franklin, and he has 4 pillars and how he lives his life, how he manages. Really insightful stuff. So if you haven't had a chance, take a listen to that, because Benny is all time. Like, he's this guy could talk about anything, and you just are like, I'm in. Like, I'm taking notes. But what was interesting is where he was talking about like, how leases died and like, with the COVID and everything else. And so I'd posted, like when I repost it from my business page to my personal page for people to see it, I had put in a quote or just a phrase in there of like, boy, how times have changed in the last couple of years. We went from pre-COVID to where things were really tight. Then we went to COVID to where, let's get real, it was like, a pig in shit. Everyone was happy. And we're spending money and everything else. And then we saw that good for about a year and a half. And then we saw a drop. And now we're getting into like some really tight compressions. So I said, boy, how times have changed. I'm just curious on how many people have changed their training, their strategy, and their path to success with the ever-changing markets, or are we still doing what we did when the market was different? Have we adapted ourselves? And oddly enough, I got a couple texts. For some reason, people don't comment on any of this stuff. They send me texts, and I'm like, comment on the thing so that people know you're interacting with. But
how many? So backtrack about a year, 2 years, right? And when you were talking to GMs, owners, CEOs, whatever it is, how many times did you have a conversation with them about what was their number one worry? And the number one worry was, we hired people that were not car salespeople and penciled one time and they sold a car.
Yep.
And it's like, we're going to have to when all this transitions happen in margin compression, we have to pencil 3-4 times to sell a car. We're going to have people like move out of the industry, know that, okay, now they have to really be salespeople. That's the number one concern over the last 3 years.
Sure. That they didn't have any, how would you say it? They didn't need to do training because the inventory restrictions or
supply and
demand was so high with the lack of supply that they needed order takers. They didn't need salespeople. They didn't need any version of that. And now you get, and we can even expound that on. So now you get to where, okay, now these people had to learn how to be salespeople, but we did no training because we were like, why would we train them? All they had to do is just fill out some paperwork. But what we also didn't realize, the fear they didn't know, they had a legitimate fear. They just didn't do anything about it, right? So they had a fear that they didn't address. But the real fear that they didn't understand, which has now come to fruition, is let's take a you or me who had salesmanship or sales skills. In COVID, it is that old adage, if you don't use it, you lose it. Well, now you even took salespeople that had been doing it for years, and they didn't have to do anything. They didn't have to, same thing. They're just order takers, right? Like sign here, press hard, here's your car. Well, because their skills did not get used for 2.5, almost 3 years, now they're rusted, they're atrophied, they're like no longer around. And so even those really skilled people, because they didn't use it, they kind of lost sight of how they even do it. And now they aren't as effective as they once were because they're like back at neutral. And it all comes down to, if you're not constantly developing your people, then you're setting them up to fail, because as markets change, you have to continue to develop your people for all situations.
And I'll expand on that. Being on the marketing side of things, not only was the people at the dealership complacent, but we were also on the marketing side of things complacent, right? Because we would walk into a dealership, it's like, we're printing money right now. Grosses are $4,500 in the front end, $1,200 in the back end. What else do you have? We can take market share. Oh, we have this product. Bring it on. Sign it up right now.
Sure.
And we would, now we're going back to market compression, and grosses are net profitability. So you have owners saying, hey, I need to make 3% net profit, 2.5% net profit. I don't care what you do. I need to keep making that net profit. So you guess what happened with the operators? I got to go and cut. What's the number one thing they go and cut? First thing they cut.
Well, it's going to be advertising. Well, most of the time it's advertising. If it's not
staffing or advertising, right? And what are the most important things at a dealership? Probably staffing and advertising, right? If you have it right.
Those are the two things that can change your momentum faster than anything else. The right marketing with the right staff. If
you have the right processes in place. Obviously, it's going to affect you. And we're seeing a lot of that. And I could tell you that on the marketing side, we got complacent. We really did. And we need to go back and figure out and focus on what's really going to drive profitability on what we do on a daily basis and how we consult and partner up with our clients on a daily basis.
I agree. Like when I'm doing the consulting, right? Because I offer a service of both process development, and they'll say, so I have three solutions, right? The do it yourself, a hybrid where there's some support, and then if you want me to come and do it with you. But it's one of those things where I always tell them, like, guys, look, you have to decide what expense you want to have, right? Or investment, right? Depends on who I'm talking to. Most dealers look at acquisition as an investment. Some look at it as an expense. But I would say, if, I was talking to a dealer the other day and they lost a sizable amount of money in used cars, like a lot.
There's quite a few. I mean, if you look at the wholesale costs over the last couple of months, everything keeps going the wrong direction, even though there's a limited amount of inventory out there, right?
Sure. And so this
dealer versus old, early model, I mean, there's a big difference there. But as we know, some dealers are not comfortable carrying early model stuff, but that's where the money's at. I mean, we see CarMax, we see all these companies focusing on early model stuff because that's still where the profitability's at.
Well, and so, I was talking to him because he had a 7-figure loss, which I'm not saying that that's not possible. However,
you're not consulting with him, right?
No, I'm not. That's why I was there. And I'm like, as a used car director, I never put up a loss in used cars. And I was in used cars in 08, 09, 11. So I was in some very tough times as well. I wasn't a used car director in COVID, but boy, it sounds like it would have been fantastic. But so I'm talking to him and he's like, well, we have to figure out how we would pay for this and expense. And I'm thinking to myself, I was like, you need to figure out, like, buddy, if we do anything better, how you pay for it is losing less money. But then I thought to myself, I told him, look, this is what I can guarantee. Because if you bring me on, not the Street Smarts Academy or the hybrid, but like me, I'm in there with you. I'm going to make some guarantees because I don't lose. And I will work hard enough to make sure it wins. So I said, this is what I can guarantee. This is what I cost. And for what you want to do and for your size operation, I will make enough to cover what you pay me and reduce your loss by at least 50%. I'm not going to tell you I can get you all the way out because I don't think I can in 1 year. No, this was a big one. This one kind of threw me for a loop. But I said, if I could reduce your loss by 50% and cover what you pay me, which means we're buying more cars, in turn you're selling more cars, in turn you're getting more fixed operations, building customer base. If we do this right and we don't blow this up and you don't change things and everything else, in 2 years' time, you will be profitable because if we kill it, half of it, at least half in the first year, and we're growing your customer base, it is only a natural progression that you will be back to profitability in 2 years. And he's like, okay, let me think about it. And I was like, I always get I just go, okay. I'm like, if you continue the way you're doing, the results you're going to get. Yes, there is the risk investment of if I bring this person on, I could lose more based on what I'm paying. But at the same time, when you have somebody who can prove results and everything else, I go, man, I've always been one of those guys. If you can show me that you've done this before and you can prove it, I'm in, because who wants to sit in an area where you don't have control, right? Who wants to sit in an area where you're like, well, I guess we're gonna try to not lose as much. Like I've heard dealers say that we're doing our best not to lose as much this month.
And that brings up a great point, because regardless marketing, because I'm more on the marketing side.
Sure.
But regardless of what you do, how much of an impact or how bad is it that the industry focuses on a cost per or a loss per versus a profitability or a market share increase per?
It's funny you say that, because I got time to talk to some people at Echo Park. I got time to talk to some people at Carvana, Used Car Week, CarMax. And Echo Park fascinated me the most because of what you just said. And I always wonder why we still use a statement that was built in the 50s to run dealerships. So we haven't changed how our statement is measured in 70 years, but okay. Well,
you can probably ask Chat GPT or Copilot to say, hey,
why is that? But it was funny. So Echo Park is like, okay, here's their expense. Like simple business. We're talking like a business you and I open, simple business.
Yep.
Expense, profits, right? So instead of putting it to the car, it's our staff, our service, our recon, everything else. That's an expense. Boom, goes on this line. And then our cars, we purchased them, right? That's an expense. Boom, like here's what we own the cars for. Then they sell the cars and they're like, we made $1 million in profit. Our expenses were $800,000. We made $200,000. Simple math. Just bing, blink. None of this smoke, none of this.
And this is why I'm bringing this up, because the way your thought process is and your mentality is, and why I think, in my personal opinion, has brought you success as you run dealerships or whatever department you run is, because that holds you back. That limits you, right?
It does.
It's that negative mentality of, which my wife always tells you, you're negative. It's like, no, I'm just realistic.
No, that's realistic. That's what actually happens. Well, no, because if I put it to a car, like, so the Echo Park before you finish was, so when a desk guy looks at it, a manager, whatever they call them, and I look at the car, I just sell the car based on here's what the market value is. I sell it. I'm not going to discount, like that is the price. And I don't worry about what I own the car for. Like, boom, that's the price. However, the way dealerships are doing it, I'm not saying it's not effective. I'm saying it's ineffective. Is now I go put all these costs to the car, the recon, the buy fees, the whatever. Now when a manager gets in there and he's like, and he spits out and he's like, we're losing $3,000 on this car to sell this car before I even discount it. So now they go like this. I don't want to make this deal. I don't want to discount this car. I don't want to. So then they end up costing themselves a customer. Now, what they don't realize, which I do, I did build a buying center for a very successful store. It ended up being the biggest buying center in the country, but they didn't care. They were like, Darrell, I'll lose $500 on the front of every car. Just get us as many cars as you can, because they knew they would make back end and fix up. So they actually understood. They still put everything to a car, but they went like this. If we do this 100 or 350 times every month, we still make $1.2 million for the $600,000 spend.
Yep.
But most stores, like their managers, which is nothing wrong with them. Like, I don't want anyone to think like, oh my gosh, you're doing it wrong. No, it is what we do to ourselves. If I see brackets that I'm losing money, I'm not excited about this and I don't want to do it. But if you didn't, and I tell people all the time, why haven't like the V-Autos, the VinQs, the ACV Maxes, the inventory control tools, why is there not a view to where you could restrict cost? What would happen if you
that's a great point, because it goes back to like you're looking at the wrong freaking measurement. You really are.
Yeah.
And it's limiting you from having success.
If I took the cost away from every sales manager and said, this is what I want you to do. Here's the market value. Here's the market, our book, whatever people are using.
Yep.
Here's what they're listed for. Here's what they're selling for. Here's the science and the data of it. I want you to go out there and deliver a phenomenal customer experience. I want you to make this customer feel like we are literally like walk on water, fantastic. And then I want you to go out there and present why our product is what it is, build the value, do all the things that customers actually believe in, right? And then I want you to sell the car. If you have to discount a little bit, you make that decision. That's why I employed you. You make the best decision for the store in that moment. And I took cost out of this. I challenge any dealer in the country. I'll come work with you. I'll even discount what I charge. And I'd love to do it with you to say, let's take cost away from everyone and let's just prove the whole industry wrong. Of if we took cost out, do your people become more effective? I would bet large sums of money. And I'm a gambling man. Yep. Large sums of money that we would outperform every store in the market. But people don't want to do that because then
it's on everything, right? Like, let's talk about cost per lead.
Sure.
We go $100 cost per lead on a third-party site or whatever advertising funnel there is. But would you rather have 7 leads and sell 1 car versus having 20 leads and sell 1 car?
That is one of those things that they can't seem to they can't get out of their own way on. That's for sure.
Well, think about it. What is the cost per lead for a 20 lead vehicle sold? Probably a lot less than a 7 lead cost.
Sure. If you're doing a cost per lead. Yeah. If you're doing a cost per lead.
What is the number one most expensive line item for a dealership?
Expensive item.
Staffing, right?
Staffing or variable, variable.
Okay, let's say
variable.
staffing is one of the most, right? So if a one individual person is taking 20 leads to sell one car versus 7 leads, there's a lot better profit margin on the 7 versus the 20. But we continue to as an industry, this is the problem. It's like, oh, our cost per lead is better with the 20 leads per car versus or per sale.
Because you're measuring it as a cost per lead rather than lead effectiveness, right?
Yes, it's 100%, which is what you're talking about.
Yeah, so used cars has moved from that. So you've probably heard David Long or Brian Kramer. I'm in the same camp as them. I know. I said
that's 3 individual people.
Okay.
How many dealers do we have across the nation, Darrell?
Well, no, it's like when it comes to used cars, right? We would always look at look to book. That metrics no longer holds any water, right? And we look at market day supply. That metric holds very little validity to it. We've proven that on other scales. But now you get to trade effectiveness and trade efficiency, 2 different measurements. But it gets into that is, why are we looking at look to book when we know it's based on data we put in and what we finalize, rather than let's look at everything we could touch, everything we looked at, and then let's look at how many we actually took in based on what we sold, right? So that you can get a real measurement. Is once we have these new metrics, or these metrics that have proved to be, because they're not new, we could have used these 30 years ago.
Yeah.
We just didn't know what they were or anything else. Like you said, cost per lead, that was like, that's what everyone heard.
We just decided to ignore them because it's easier to look at.
Well, it's easier to measure something that we can blame failure on than measure something that we would have to take responsibility for.
100%.
And so when you start challenging what people have always known, like I challenge the statement, like if they sent me to NADA school, I'd literally be like this, like, I don't know how you guys still have a school. Like, how are you guys teaching people to run a store on percentages and everything else when what we do and how we do it has changed at least 3 iterations from when the statement was concocted? But you're going to tell me if my management staffing is over 17% of whatever I bring in, that I'm no longer running an effective store. Like it is so narrow-minded of understanding how you can run a store without falling into these measurement gaps. Is what if I measure my store in a different way? There's one guy right now doing something that I am a raving fan of his. If there was anything I could contribute, I'd give it away to free for him. And that's Glenn Lundy. He is breaking every mold in the dealership of all these like things we do. He has 0 schedule for his whole team. There's no schedule. He has marketing, right, for his used cars because he's a used car franchise or a used car store. But where most of his marketing is 4th tier marketing. His employees have to post every day, and then they post stuff, and then that's how he drives traffic in, and they sell tons of cars. And the crazy thing is, he's open 7 weeks and then closes for 1 whole week, completely shuts it down. And this guy is every part of the auto industry. He has basically said, I'm going to do it the exact opposite, and he's crushing it. And I'm like, this guy's my hero. Because when people said, oh, I don't know if it'll work, I don't know. And he has 2 rules. Rule 1, always do what's in the best interest of the company. Simple, right? Rule 2, if you, how does he say it? It's like, if you become mediocre, if you don't hit the goals, right? If mediocrity suits you, we're just going to ask you to go be mediocre somewhere else. Like, if your goal is this, we're not going to allow you to hover here. You need to outperform your goal. And so he wants people that want to be driven. And if you're okay being 10 car Ted, then I'm okay with you being 10 car Ted for someone else. And so when I look at that, it's like, don't tell me it can't be done because people are doing it. Now, if you say that you're afraid, or you say, I'm not sure, I don't know yet, like, or I don't know, I haven't learned that, or I don't understand that. Okay, let's start there, but don't say it can't be done, because saying it can't be done or it won't work is your fears providing you to a way to fail. Because I was also told a buying center could never be successful next door to CarMax. I proved that wrong.
I remember that. That.
I was told that there's no way we could outperform CarMax. We proved that wrong. I was also told
across the street.
Across the street, 300 yards. So, and it was one of those things is like, why can't it be done? Well, I never want to say those really cheesy things we saw in the 90s that got put on posters that we put on walls, but this one kind of makes sense right now. Is in order to achieve, you must believe. If you don't believe it can be done, you're right. Right? It's that old, like, if you believe you can, or if you believe you can't, you're right. Like, it starts with belief. Now here's the thing. I believe I could climb Mount Everest with the right training. I also know I'm never going to climb Mount Everest, but I believe I could with the right training, the right everything else. I think I could do it. There's no chance I'd want to do it.
Darrell, that's our 2025 goal. We're doing it.
That's definitely not happening. Okay. It's right up there with a marathon. The 26.2 sticker for all the people that have achieved one of those. I'm glad you have one. Running for 5 hours, 4 hours, if you're really fast. Nothing about that is like, you know what I really want to do is go run for 4.5 hours. Like, no, thank you. Now, if you told me I could row for, like 2 hours, I might take that challenge. Okay. I did it for 90 minutes and did half a marathon. It was like ridiculous. But I think it's like you said, when you look at those measurements, cost per lead, and you look at like how we put things to cars,
it's not just cost per lead, it's cost for anything, right? Like, I think.
No, I'm saying when you do that,
it handicaps us when we look at a cost per.
I think so, but I think it's also one of those things when you can look at it is you can also say, are we, and this is a question, I'd be open to anyone answering it, anyone saying, Darrell, you're stupid, you're wrong, whatever, is do we keep these metrics in place? Because it is a baked in way. If we fail, we can blame somebody else.
If you want to be successful, no.
No, I'm saying, so if you go, well, I was just going based off cost per lead. So if that didn't work, right, because that's how you were measuring it, and that's not the most effective way, and then it fails, you can say, well, that's how we've done it. That's what we've done, or that's how they measure it, right? Rather than saying, I didn't see any efficiency in that. So I went to, like you said, if I have a guy who takes 100 leads and sells 10 cars, wouldn't I measure him just as effective as if I have a guy who takes 60 leads and sells 10 cars? Why would I let the guy with 100 leads keep burning up my opportunities? Is we do that sometimes because 1, we don't want to continue educating ourselves. 2, we're afraid that if we fail, we'd have to take responsibility. So we need somebody to blame for it. And then 3 is the other part of it is, this is what the industry does. That's how the industry is measured. So that's what I have to do.
Yeah. And I think that's a great point, because a lot of the times we don't know, right? We just go off what we could measure. Because think about the old school way of advertising. Like, you would ask a dealer, is like, how do you know what a radio station or newspaper is working? Is like, well, when I put an ad in there, people show up.
Sure.
That was the old way of advertising. So it's funny how we almost have to go back to the old way of advertising, right? Like, hey, when you do certain things, your market share and your profitability, whichever way is really you're measuring, the KPI that you really need to measure is going in the right direction. Instead of like, oh, your fucking costs. You might have to edit out. I'm going to.
There's no editing, buddy. This is unfiltered, right, man.
So fuck it. I don't care. So when you look at cost per lead and you're going like, your cost per lead is fucking way too high. Why? We're driving you a lot more traffic with beyond the cost per lead, because only 10 to 11% of the people submit a lead. What about the other 89, 80%, whatever it is, that are not submitting a lead? How are they engaging with you, and how are you measuring those people?
Well, and then even go one further. I remember having this conversation with you at this point, we'll just say years ago, but I remember because you and I were very aligned in this, but some other stores weren't, was they'd say, oh, we're spending, let's say, $8,000 on Auto Trader and $6,000 on cars.com. And they'd be like, well, we only made 3 deals with Auto Trader. It's not worth it because it cost us whatever, $2,500 a deal. And I'm like, okay. And I always was like, so I'm just curious, right? Like, because if I'm you, right, if I was on your side, I'd be like that's got to be so frustrating, because to me, I'm like, so you gave us 20 phone calls, 50 email leads, and some map views, which means like now we need to ask customers when they get there. But let's take the map views out of it, because maybe that's kind of fugazi of how you measure that. You still have phone calls and you still have email leads. And I'd be like, so they gave us 70 opportunities for the $8,000. Maybe it's a little high. So now we're at, just under $100 a lead. But we did make these 3 deals that we made $25,000 on, but we will get to that later. Right? But so we made these deals and like, I'm just curious, was it their fault that we closed like shit, or was it our fault? Like if they gave us 70 opportunities and all we closed was 3, did they give us enough opportunities to make 15 deals, 16, 12, 11? Like, and so it was always interesting to be like, we would blame you because you're too high for what you.
That is a great point, because and I'll share again, going back to stories, because that's what's going to remind us, right? Because so Robert Gachel, who I was telling you about that I hired in Fresno, we go down to Southern California, independent dealership, struggling to close deals with Auto Trader and all this stuff. We go down there. He does a training for about 3 days on third-party sites and how to better handle customers coming through leads and all this stuff. And this independent dealership has all these added packs in the back, or
operating cost packs.
Yes. So very aggressive in pricing, but it costs you like $1,500 to add all these other shit like paint and all this other protective stuff. And we spent some time there, and what we figured out, every advertising funnel drives a different customer. The easiest customers out there are the customers that get as much information to make a decision on buying a car. And I'm not going to name any names, but how long the car has been there, what the price is, what they've done to it, all this other stuff, right? Which leverage the consumer to go in and negotiate the price of that particular car. So for me, if I was at a dealership and somebody called me from one of these third-party sites that I know that they know all this information on, this person is like, I don't have to sell them. I just have to close the deal, right? So what happened was we spent 3 days at this dealership. The third day we were there in the morning, we see this car that was getting cleaned up by a sales manager out in the lot. And I walked up to him and I said, hey, I want to ask you a question. It's like, how did you sell this car? And he goes, it was one of the third-party sites, a competitor of where I work for. I'm not going to name any sites. And I said, okay, well, how did you know this third-party site sold this car? And he goes, because we got the lead from it in the last 3 days, and we sold the car. So I took the VIN number, put it into our system, and the car sold. It was a very high demanded car, Honda CRV, souped up engine, all that shit, high demand, inventory demand index or whatever, low day supply. And I plugged it into our system, and I noticed that we had sent that dealership 3 leads before the other third-party site sent a lead. So when we looked at that, I'm going with the owners like, hey, we send you 3 leads before this other third-party site send you a lead. Why did you not close it? And it goes back to what the opportunity that there is in this industry is training and developing people to manage how to sell a car.
Yeah, the experience, the interaction.
If they would have taken that first lead, second lead, they probably would have made more gross on that car. They would have sold that car quicker, and they would have probably made more net profit on that car. But this third-party site waited until the car was very aggressively priced, 45 days into it, and then it came in, and then guess who got that credit for that freaking sell? One of the third-party sites that were not out of us. But we sent them 3 leads before that other third-party site. Oh,
and I think that's the thing, right? Because they say, oh, well, the customer, the price didn't work. It's And that goes into the experience of, again, we keep doing the same things and expecting different results. Why, if any of you guys didn't know, that's actually the exact definition of insanity in Webster's dictionary. But it's odd to me is when I always see that, whether it's acquisition or sales, because I tell people, guys, in order to have a massive buying center, we're talking like crushing type of numbers, your retail strategy has to be equally as good. But so we always talk about the experiences. Why are we so afraid to have that conversation and see what they're looking for and what they want to do and how they want to do it? And I'm like, well, because it's training, because they don't know past the first question. They don't know past the second question. So they go, if this starts getting into a conversation like we're having and it takes 20, 30 minutes, they don't know where to go with it. So all they're going to do is give up price rather than talk about what you provide and the experience and how you can do this. And I said, because when you start training people, it's not just, oh, you show them some word tracks and you say, okay, here you go, or give them some scripts and say, here you go. You now have to do that, make it a habit, get them comfortable, role play with them. Like there's a lot of efficiency and a lot of things that have to happen to where you can get someone that maybe isn't super like confident there. Confident. I have one person right now at one of my stores. She is absolutely adorably sweet. And when she came in, she wasn't like, she was a kindergarten teacher and she wasn't really this like go-getter. And like, she now calls the leads and tells them like, and I said, look, you just got to be happy about it. And we worked on all these things and you just got to make the appointment. And then when they get here, we handle it. Well, now she's like this, she calls all of them, has conversations because we got her comfortable with step 1 and then training for another couple weeks, step 2. And now she'll explain exactly how it's going to happen. What's going to happen when they get there? What happens if we find anything? How we process anything? So she'll go through the whole conversation now. All 7 to 10 steps depending on where it goes, right? Because it can meander. And when she first had to do that, I mean, we're talking like shivering. Like as she's talking, she's like, "Oh, okay, so like," and now she's like, "This, no problem, guys. This is what we're gonna do," and it just flows. And it's because you have to take time, and this took us 90 days to get to where she felt very confident doing that. Now, what's next step? She now has to do all these things. She knows how to do an appraisal or the inspection. Now we're gonna slowly, keyword slowly, 1 time a week, maybe 2 times a week until she gets real comfortable. Let her go present the numbers and have a conversation with the customer. We don't even care what happens. Don't buy the car. We want you to get comfortable of what happens, knowing that I'll come out or someone will come out if I'm not there, and we'll save it. But we want you to see like what happens now when they're in front of you, right? We want to slowly integrate you into that so that now you progress to getting better, better, and better. But people go, well, that's a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of like energy. Well, if I'm not building my company to be successful for the long term, who is? Yeah. Right, which is another fear. We train people and then they leave. And you said it earlier in the conversation, and I didn't want to jump in, but since we brought it back to this is, I'm not a Niners fan. I'm an Eagles fan. Go Birds. Okay. However,
I know that,
but
I'm not a Niners fan either.
But however, I'm going to use one of the greatest coaches in NFL history, which is Bill Walsh. Okay. And you think about that as like, how many people did he train, develop, and coach that then ended up leaving the organization, the 49ers, when the 49ers were like studs, right? Joe Montana, Steve Young, and these coaches left the team after his tutelage and then became coaches everywhere else. Do you think this guy was like, you know what I'm going to stop doing? Training all these other coaches underneath me. I'm not going to tell them shit. I'm going to let them just like do whatever. No, you know what he did is he says, that's what his success came from. I'm going to train people so damn good that they go get another head coaching job. And then if they end up beating me or if they have success or whatever it maybe is, that came from me. They're under my coaching tree, my tutelage. And so I look at it as dealers as like, do you think, and this is how I look at it. I don't want you to train people and think you get nothing from it. I get that. That's a relatively easy thing to understand, right? You want to make sure that you're putting yourself in a good position. Okay, so let's put you in a good position today. You start training people, invest in your people, train them, hire me, hire another trainer, hire someone that can actually do it though. Don't hire people that say they can do it, hire people that actually come and do it. And you start training and developing your people. Now, here's how it's for you. How often do you think you have to recruit or put an ad in a paper to hire people if people start hearing about that you're the dealership that will do the training, get you to where you want to be, promote you, and then when you want to go somewhere else, they'll help you do that? Do you think you'll ever have to run an ad in the paper to hire anybody?
No. People want to work for you.
you'll have people begging to work at your store.
Yep.
That's what's in it for you, is people that you now get to decide who you hire because they want to come and get that tutelage, that experience, that training, that development, because they know after they work for you, they're going to get something better.
100%. 100%.
And that's what's in it for me. Like when I train people, I'm like, in 2 years, if you do a 2-year deal with me, when I leave in 2 years, assuming you don't give me like Magoo who can't learn how to tie their shoe, I'm going to put them in the position of where I'm at, where they will understand all pieces of the business to effectively run it for you once I'm done, once I'm gone. If we do it a year, if we do it for a year, I'm going to get them to where they can operate it, but they may not feel as comfortable, because when you're evaluating cars, it takes time, just repetition of seeing tons of them. But I want them, when I leave, I don't want to leave you with something where you're like, well, once I left, it imploded. No, I want to leave you with something to where it once you follow the process, it's good, right? And I go, yep, I helped build that one. I helped build that one. I helped build that one. And I go, yes, well, how come you're not still with them? Because I built it for them and now it's theirs. Like it's not mine. Like I don't have like as much as I would love Street Smarts to be the next iteration of CarMax, where I have all these all over the place. That's the dream, but that's not the reality right now. It's how do I help people get to where they want to be? How do I help businesses get to where they want to be? And then I'll get to where I want to be, right? So,
and that's a great point, because you talk a lot. We hear about leadership is like, what's your brand, right? And a lot of people might take that in a different thought process. It's like, well, my brand is XYZ or whatever it is. And I always talk to people, it's like, your brand is when people start reaching out to you. Like, pay attention to what they're reaching out for you for. Like, if they're reaching out for you for this, make note of it or whatever it is. So if you think about it, it's one of those things. It's so hard because it's one of those emotional things, right? Mm-hmm. When people start reaching out to you, and it's like, hey, I need your help. I need this. I need that. And I'll always say, take notes of why people are calling you for. Like, really, really understand what people are, when they call you and they ask you for things, like, take note of that stuff. Like, why are they reaching out for you for? Because that's what builds your brand. And then I'm going to say one of the things from one of my leaders is, your network is your power. Because what people know you for is what's going to get you to the next level. 100%.
Sure. And it's, I remember you saying one thing to me as we wrap things up, but I remember, like, so when, we're sitting over there, been working for ICO, is, you have to have raving fans, right? You have to have more raving fans than people that are saying negative things about you, because there's always going to be naysayers. Unfortunately, let's just drop that bomb on everyone. You're never going to find everybody to be on your side or like promote you. That's just one of those things. But there is when you have naysayers, you have to have that network of those raving fans that know what you do and what you provide, because the raving fans are the ones who and when we say raving fans, is that they don't have to be yelling saying you're the greatest. No, the ones that they're the ones that call on you, the ones that ask for you, because they know when they need something, you're the person that gets it done, right? You need that network of people that believe in you and believe in what you do. And that's kind of what I've always, like, to the people that I either thought had value or the people that thought I had value, I've always treated that with a lot of care, because when someone calls and asks me something, I've always just been kind of floored by the fact that someone's asking for help, because it's just I think it's a real honor when someone asks. It's, I take it as that. So, but, I think it's great when we talk about these things and people get to see kind of the inner scope of what it is of like life to business, and understanding that like real people, real things, how we act, how we are, and what we do, and seeing like when you get to work with good people, or when you get good people in your circle, what it ends up being, long term. right, is, better than you ever could think it would be or what you expected it to be. It always ends up being better, and I think that's one of those things that it's just, you got to have to be thankful for. So as we kind of wrap things up, right, we're on Thursday night throwdown. I don't know how much more tequila I can put in my system if I plan on doing anything tomorrow. But Ozzie, I want to thank you for coming on, bud, because if for any of you guys haven't figured out by now, I put Ozzie in my circle of 5. He is one of my closest friends. When I think I'm doing something right, I call Ozzie. He tells me I'm doing it wrong almost every time. So I adjust. We have great conversations, but Ozzie's also one of those people that if you have him helping you, working for you, talking to you, mentoring you, that it's always coming from a good place. And I say that is about as genuine as I possibly could say about anybody. I have 5 people in my life that I hold in high regard that I met through work. And then I have 3 that I met before that, high school and after that. And so I feel very blessed, and I'm just glad you were able to come on. People could kind of see exactly who you are. We can kind of talk about real things so that we know that we're taking it to the streets. The streets are real life, guys. The streets aren't what we think we talk about or the bullet points people want to push. It's what really actually happens. But before we wrap things up, Ozzie, last thoughts, last things you want to say, burning desires, let us know.
Well, I could say that appreciate those very passionate words that you shared about how we met and what we done. But I could tell you that you shared that you reach out to me when you want to hear candid stuff and real stuff, and it's very limited because what you do and what you say is, I take it back when we first met and was like, no, Darrell's like, even my wife, like, that's not right. And going and look at search Google and Darrell talking about like whiskeys and wines, like, no, that is right. Darrell is right. So all I could say, I appreciate your friendship, your partnership, and we learn from each other. We challenge each other over the years, and I appreciate you and your friendship, your partnership, and your everything that you're doing for the business. And I look forward to how we could change the industry, dude, because there's a lot that we all could do to really focus and make a difference.
100% agree, guys. We're going to drop this outro here in a second, but I want to leave it with something that Ozzie said earlier in the podcast, and then he said it again. But he just finished with a different way of saying it, is changing the industry. The way Ozzie and I want to change the industry is making an impact on somebody's life for the better and changing people's lives. Changing people's lives to put them in a better position to where they want to be. When we say changing the industry, we're not talking about selling more cars. That inevitably happens when you put positive change in people and you put them in the position to succeed. But we want to put people in a place of empowerment, place of confidence, and a place to be able to succeed wherever they want to go in the industry. And that's how you change the industry, one person at a time. What you guys have got to be a preview to is Thursday night throwdown, okay, with tequila and Ozzie, Darrell, and Street Smarts taken to the streets. Okay, and this weekend, okay, go Eagles. And for those of you guys that don't know, okay, the Fresno is a fantastic area. They have great sports teams, and okay, go Bulldogs. Okay, I've spent a couple of their games that were fantastic. But Ozzie, I want to thank you. Glad we're taking it to the streets. And guys, until next time, I will definitely repost this because this was live. We'll rerun this as well so you can see it. But thank you guys so much. Comment, share, repost. That's the best compliment we can get, is when you guys share this with everybody else. Ozzie, hang out with me for just a second.